Thank you for tuning in again today to Would You Gaming. My name is Chris. Today we're going to look at the topic of digital versus physical. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the support. Let us know what you think. Give us your thoughts how we can improve the podcast. We are always open to those and we want to make it better for you guys. And we're going to look at today at the shift, like I said, in the industry from physical format to digital with the latest console generations. We saw something that's never happened before. Well, a digital option was offered from both Sony and Microsoft at this time. Both were comparable in price, but Sony's was a bit more expensive than Microsoft's option, but nonetheless, they both offered an option where there was no ability to play physical media at all. As someone who grew up playing games where there was only physical media, I own a bit of both physical and digital media, but prefer physical when possible. Sometimes that's not at all possible. Either the publisher or the developer cannot afford to release it physically, or sometimes even if they do, it's one of those limited run type things where you're not going to get your hands on it unless you're just right there ready to hit the checkout button and fight the bots to get that. And living in a rural area, when I do buy the occasional digital game, it can take a bit of time to download. Given my internet speeds, I use satellite internet, so it is not the best at all. I recently downloaded Spider-Man Miles Morales. I bought it on a Saturday, and it was not done until Thursday of that following week. And for someone living in a rural area, being able to play my game instantly means I have to buy a physical copy a lot of times. And even there could be a hefty day one patch. Let's look at Cyberpunk 2077, if you will. I mean, I'm on 1.04, version 1.04 at this point. And that thing, the update is 45 gigs, and I've downloaded 13. And it says there's 98 hours left, so it's going to be a while before I can play that how it was intended to be played, unless I'm ready to go out and buy a high-end PC and just do that, and I'm not willing to do that. I'd like to play it on my PlayStation if all possible. I would think that the version would work, but obviously it doesn't. We're on the third patch, and there's still problems, so it is what it is. There are these patches that come out day one. I've got a friend who wasn't even able to play Call of Duty World War One because he doesn't have an internet connection like that. He has his phone, he uses that for data and looks stuff up that way, but he doesn't really have a way to connect his console to PSN, download DLC or anything along those lines, so he just gave that copy to me, but he couldn't even do anything with that. Yeah, I've bought the games in the past that, like I said, they require that day one patch. I mean, if you look at Neo 2, there was a similar situation with that. There were bosses that were nigh unkillable unless you patch that to make them a bit more manageable. And I mean, it's just, I would love to see an option to get everything on the disc before ship, but I understand in today's time, that's not what happens oftentimes. And the game sizes keep getting larger and larger. And it's harder to imagine an all-digital future with me because, I mean, these file sizes are astronomical. And, I mean, the solid-state drives we have in the PS5, those are expensive. So to get a large one of those, you're going to have to shell out a lot of money. Now, I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime. I really hope not. Because I really don't want to deal with the all-digital future in my lifetime. I would like the option to still buy my stuff. And there's also the worry if you purchase stuff digitally in the server housing, that information is taken down. You no longer have access to your purchases. I lost an old X-Men arcade game, I'm not entirely sure of the title of it, on PS3 and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I love those games, but I can't even go back and re-download those. And that's sad to me. I really should be able to if I spent money on it, but I understand it is what it is. Due to licensing issues, these can be taken down from time to time. I just do not like that. But as digital sales continue to meet or exceed physical sales, companies such as Microsoft and Sony are going to be incentivized to increase these digital sales. Sell more games digitally, offer more sales. We see this a lot on PSN. I follow a couple game channels, and it seems like they have uploads of new sales each day on PSN. It's ridiculous. And they don't have to pay any retailers because, I mean, you got to think of it. The profits primarily go to Sony in that case. The developer gets their cut as well. But I have to think that Sony's just getting the bull share of that profit. And in recent years, sales on PSN become more prevalent. Oftentimes, you can find games on sale much earlier than you find a physical copy, as I said earlier. And they give further incentive to just buy digital copies of these games. And like any other change, it'll take time before we get to an all-digital future. Until we get there, I will continue buying mostly physical That is something I can physically own. If it is something that I can physically own, if I wanted, I could get rid of it and recoup some of the money I paid for it. Unless I'm selling my whole PSN account, I can't do that with the digital content. And I don't plan to sell my PSN account. I own hundreds of games. Ridiculous. I got a problem. But as always, let us know what you think and rate the podcast. Thank you for your time tuning in. And this has been Would You Gaming.